India is celebrating. Europe is congratulating itself. And Brussels says this is about trade. But look closer. This is not just a trade deal. This is a test. A test of India's claims and a test of Europe's credibility. Because when the European Union talks about values, human rights, minority protections, and rule of law, one question remains unanswered. Why do those values stop at Kashmir? This is The Pivot. I'm Ali Furqan. Tonight, we examine what Europe signed and what it chose to ignore. So, let us begin with the deal itself. What exactly did Europe and India agree to, and why now? European Union and India have finalized and announced a long-pending trade agreement this week. It is being presented as a strategic breakthrough, a sign that Europe is choosing India, a counterweight to China, but Europe is not choosing sides. Europe is hedging. EU economy is under pressure. US tariffs are back. Supply chains remain fragile. China is indispensable but uncomfortable. Russia is politically toxic. So Europe is doing what it has always done best, diversifying risk. India is not Europe's replacement for China. India is Europe's insurance policy, and that distinction matters. Because if this deal is about strategy, then the next question is obvious. What price did Europe attach to this partnership? And more importantly, were its conditions applied equally? EU does not practice emotional diplomacy, it practices regulatory diplomacy. Its trade agreements come with conditions: labor rights, environmental compliances, carbon border taxes, digital regulations, human rights clauses. Europe calls these non-negotiable, and yet when it comes to India, those conditions suddenly becomes flexible. And flexibility in geopolitics always raises suspicion. So let us look at what Europe chose not to confront while finalizing this agreement. Some facts. In India today, Muslim faces institutional pressure. Christians face targeted violence. Sikhs face political marginalization. Dalits face systematic caste discrimination. And then there is Kashmir, a region under prolonged military control. Communications blackouts, mass detentions, demographic engineering. The erosion of political and civil rights. This is not disputed journalism. This is documented reality. Yet in the finalized EU-India trade deal, Kashmir barely exists. And this silence is not accidental. It rests on one dangerous assumption, that Kashmir can be treated as a side issue. It cannot. Kargil in 1999, military standoff of 2001 and 2, crisis escalation after Pulwama in 2019, and most recently, in May 2025, when Pakistan shot down 7 Indian fighter planes. Each time, the word stepped back from the edge barely. Ignoring Kashmir does not reduce risk. It delays the explosion. Europe speaks loudly on Ukraine, Iran, Myanmar. Europe sanctions, Europe lectures. Europe conditions trade. But on Kashmir, Europe whispers or stays silent. Human rights cannot be selective. Values can't be modular. When Europe compromises its principles for access, it weakens its own moral authority. But Europe justifies this silence with a familiar argument that trade will soften India, that engagement will moderate behavior. Does history support that belief? History suggests otherwise. Economic engagement has softened nationalism. It has emboldened it. Military assertiveness has increased, diplomatic rigidity has hardened, internal dissent has narrowed. Rewarding this behavior without accountability does not create stability. It creates confidence without restraint. And this confidence does not exist in isolation. It directly affects the region. So, what does the India EU trade deal really reveal? It reveals Europe's anxiety, India's expectations, and a widening gap between rhetoric and reality. Europe is not embracing India, Europe is testing India. And in geopolitics, tests always have consequences. And those consequences are not theoretical. They shape credibility, they shape stability, and sometimes they shape the next crisis. If Europe wants stability in South Asia, it cannot trade with one eye closed. If Europe wants credibility, it cannot preach values selectively. And if Europe wants peace, it cannot ignore disputes that have already brought nuclear neighbors to the brink of war. Because trade may build markets, but it does not resolve conflicts. And when values are compromised for consequences, the price is not paid today, it is paid in the next crisis. This is The Pivot. I'm Ali Furqan. Thank you for watching.